Hey, this is 6 Bolt Von Doom's lab. So this is going to be Hook of the Reaper release 1.2.5. So I guess let's get into it. The first bug actually is kind of a little sad. It's for turning joystick or the gamepad mode on for some light guns. So I know it affects open fire and also could affect Gunfer IR, Blamcom, Fusion. So the problem is actually with the default LG game files. So when I made most of the Nixos 3 emulator default LG game files, I made like 95% of the game files like this, where you do all OpenCom, then joystick mode. But the problem with certain light guns, when you go into external control, so for open fire, when you do the S6 command, you can't go into joystick or go in gamepad mode anymore. You have to do it before the S6. So in like a handful of some Dolphin game files, I think like 5 of them, I had it the right way. I had it like this, where you do OpenCom NoaNet, which just connects to the serial port. Then you go joystick mode, which sends it before the S6. Then you do the normal OpenCom. And it will try to connect and say, hey, I'm already connected. Then just do the init stuff. So I went back and changed all like 100 files for that. I say it's kind of sad because I got the Dolphin game files like done for like 6 months ago or more. So it's kind of bugs been out there for like almost a half year and no one has said anything. That's kind of the sad thing. I don't think anybody, like I said, I think most of all the bugs are all caught by me. I think no one even notices if there's a bug or not. So, uh, okay. Okay, going down, the edit icon Windows wasn't displaying actually the open fire display setting correctly. So when you do open up the edit light gun and you go to the third tab, the display stuff wasn't being displayed right depending on the light gun. So it was an easy fix and I fixed it in 1.2.5. The next one I heard, the supermodel was not working. So I tried it out. I loaded it up. This is the forked supermodel. It's I guess the Model 3, or it has to be the forked one that has the network output. But the only game that works on the forked one is Ocean Hunter. So yeah, I played it to about the mid section of the second level. So I played all through the first level, about halfway through the second level, and worked fine. So I'm not seeing any problems with it. So hopefully I can get more details from the people that say it's not working. Okay. So in the last one where I kind of put out the light controller, I guess 2 people that had the servo stick, the Ultra Mark servo stick, it was crashing Hook of the Reaper when they open add light controller window. So just when they open up add light controller, it crashed on them. So this is probably, from what I've seen in the past, it's probably mostly noise on the USB lines. So pretty much where you have bad, really noises on the USB, you try to read anything, you're just going to get a whole bunch of noise back. So when I tried to collect the info, like product ID, vendor ID, all that serial number version, all that basic USB HID stuff that I show in light gun stuff, yeah, it just comes back corrupt pretty much. So when it tries to show it in the add light controller window, Hook of the Reaper is like, it's corrupted and doesn't know what to do, and it causes a crash pretty much. So actually looking at the picture, so actually went and looked at the picture of the servo stick. And kind of one bad thing is like I came down here and actually looked at the PCB, and kind of the first things I see like a bodge job here, bodge job here, bodge job here. So that's 4. So, and also it's using the power from the USB. So I'm like, ooh. So yeah, that kind of probably explains maybe some of it. So usually motors or servos like these, just big inductors, and they're quite noisy. They're not good. And if you're using the USB on it, yeah, it's probably putting a crap load of noise on it. So one guy actually unhooked the servo stick, and then he could actually get, it open, add light controller fine. He actually added light controllers, but it actually died a couple minutes after, probably because of more USB stuff, which I've seen. I mean, usually it crashes right away, or it kind of works and crash, or it kind of works horribly, then you can see all the, it's not working right, but it kind of stays alive. But usually if it gets to a point, it just crashes out. So I've pretty much tried everything I could. I mean, yeah. So, well, before I get on, it really reminds me of when I first started Hook of the Reaper. Because when I first put out Hook of the Reaper there, I was doing serial port write checks. So if I sent out a write, I make sure the data was written and all that and went out. But sometimes that was causing crashes because sometimes the data got so corrupted because there was so much noise on the USB. You just get crap back, and when it goes back, it just corrupts everything and dies. So pretty much I had a couple people, I think it was like 3 people, that their light guns weren't working. I think 2 of them were Reapers and another one was another one. So I knew all these light guns worked. But however, for these, 3 people, they did not work at all. And I think the one was later on where they were getting like serial port write fails. And, I pretty much debugged it, and in what came down to the USB extension cord, pretty much. After they changed out the USB extension cords, it worked perfectly. There was no problem. But the whole thing is MAME hooker worked. So that was kind of the days of where people were like, well, MAME hooker works, Hook of the Reaper doesn't, kind of thing. And I'm like, I had to explain to people, it's like, well, the reason why MAME hooker works is because it doesn't do any checks. It just throws it over the wall, and I hope it gets there. That's like, I'm not going to do that. So I was like, no, the right way is to do checks. As an electrical engineer, you always check the right. You always have acknowledgments and all that. So I'm not going to do that. To me, it's like putting a piece of tape over your check engine light. You're like, who cares if it's on? Just put a tape over it, fixed it. It's like if there's a hardware problem, you fix it. And like I said, a lot of times people are like, well, no, it can't be the USB. I unplugged it and plugged it back in, and it seems like it's working. And I'm like, no, you have to get a different one. They're like, oh, I don't know. I transferred files on it, and it worked. And I'm like, well, transferring files is not time dependent. You have like a million retries that happen with it. So yeah, eventually you will get the data over, but a lot of times you don't want that. And of course, like I said, every time turned out to be the USB extension. So that's why it kind of reminds me of a lot of that. And also, I did a lot of even debugging with corrupted USB lines, with the oscilloscope and all that, kind of showing like game stuff where, you pull the trigger and you, instead of shooting a bullet through a grenade and my crosshair is going everywhere, corrupted data can happen. And I've seen it. It's like I worked on it and debugged. So that's why it pretty much looks like that. I mean, it's just like the hallmarks of it. So the bad thing is like I can't do anything. I can't fix a hardware problem with software. I can't do stuff like that. It's just not going to work. I mean, I tried everything I could. Like I said, if one person removed the servo stick, he added it, but it wasn't working. So I took the whole pack drive SDK and I recompiled it in Microsoft Visual C 2022, and that still didn't work. Then I changed the USB writes and reads from async to sync, and I haven't heard back, but I don't think it's going to fix it. But that's kind of like the Hail Mary thing. If it doesn't help, then there's nothing really I can do about it. It's like I said, seems like a hardware problem. It has like this, all the showings of it. So it's kind of sad, but yeah. So 2 people with servo sticks, it's not really working. If you do have a servo stick and it's working for you, please tell me, because I don't know if this is for all servo sticks or people that have servo sticks and it's working for them. So I just know 2 people, it's just not really working for them. So, but yeah, that kind of sums it up with that happening and that. Like I said, I tried everything. I even recompiled the pack drive SDK and all that. Okay, so, and like I said, this is kind of, over here for my roadmap is to fix the ID bug and controller number. So I think I pretty much did it. It took kind of forever to do, and I'll kind of get more reasons why that happened in the next section of the ID and how it's been a nightmare. So probably fixing this bug here with the pack SDK, I actually went through all the pack SDK, and yeah, it's probably not the best documentation, and I had to go through pretty much the code most of the time to try to figure out what's happening. It was pretty much basically a nightmare trying to figure out a lot of things. So for example, it uses the ID of the light controller. Okay, so when you like run a program for it, here let me kind of show you for it where you can set the ID, right? So here's like the pack LED 64 comes with. Oh look, it has ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, ID 4. Has all these IDs. So you might think, hey, that ID is coming where you set these IDs, right? You can set, there's 8 for the pack LED 64, and there's 4 for the nano LED and the pack ultimate IO, right? But see, that's where you're wrong. It doesn't mean shit, pretty much. So pretty much what it comes down to, the ID is just pretty much the index of its internal array. So you can have those numbers. I don't even know if it sorts them because I only have one controller, so I can't test it. So that's kind of like one of those things. It's like, what does the ID mean? I see the ID like that all over, and I see the ID like that, and it's like not documented that well. So I was like, what the hell is the ID? Of course, so the ID is just where it is in the array. In the other ID I showed you with the program, how it calculates it is with the product ID most of the time. For the pack LED Nano and pack Ultimate, it uses the product ID to figure out what ID you set it to. But I don't even know if that matters or not, to tell you the truth. But that's kind of some of the nightmare of this thing. Okay, so Another thing is like it says pins or then it says ports. And also the pins and ports are always -1. So if you see pin 1, it's going to be pin 0. Pin 18 is pin 17. So you always have to -1 off. But the groups, no, they don't do that. Group 1 is group 1. So it's kind of like you have to go and test everything. It's like it says the pins and ports should be the same. Like pin 1 should be pin 1, but no, it's pin 0. So like stuff like that. It was like I said, it was going back and forth. And another thing, it says, oh yeah, in the documentation, it was like, yeah, pointer byte array needs 64. Well, that was great for the pack 64 LED, but the nano LED needs 60 and the pack ultimate IO needs 96. So yeah. So one document says one thing in the code, then the document says another thing. So like I said, it goes on and on. So in the end, I wish I just wouldn't have used the pack SDK. I wished I just used the HID API that I use for the alien and aim track gun and did my own code. At the end of it, it's been pretty much a nightmare. Well, as you can see, it's been a fucking nightmare, and pretty much, yeah. But yeah, it sucked. Okay, so I totally updated how the light controller is added to the list along with all the checks now. So it made the add light controller window a lot easier. So now you load it up and you take the data and I say, hey, it's already in the list or it's not valid, blah, blah, blah. So you only get nano LED, the pack LED 64 and the pack ultimate IO. Everything else gets like filtered out. And they have to be valid. If there's something wrong with the strings or anything, it doesn't even try to show them or anything. So hopefully, like I said, caught it. But so I fixed all that up. Also, I added in checks when it does writing now. So it just did writing with no checks. But in the pack SDK, it does do checking. It does do USB read and write, where it does asynchronous read and write. But when it did that, it's kind of like because then it calls back right away. So since you do a callback with pass or fail, it kind of takes the whole benefit of the synchronous write and read. So you might as well just do a synchronous, right? So it's kind of weird. But that's more of, a nightmare of the thing. So right now the light controller does a check if it passes the write now. If it does fail, it retries 2 more times. And after that, it will error out. So okay, next thing, now you can use MAME start and MAME stop output signals for the hook light. So that was just an easy thing to put in right away. So you can add that in. Okay, the next thing is I put in end group for the group files. So as you saw, there was really kind of no way to really end the group. You had to use like a color or a new group or the end of the file kind of thing. Now you can use end group. So then now this will make probably notes a little more easier because you can end the group and have notes in between groups now and all that. So you don't have to put a color in to end the group or not. So you can now put in end group to end it. It has to be at the beginning of the line. And I updated the group info file for it. Then the last one is I added in 2 new RGB commands, both of what I call followers. So followers as they follow the output signal's value. So if the value is 0, it turns off the light. if the value is greater than 0, it turns on. So the first command is follower RGB, and it has the one argument, which is the color. So you could go follower RGB like white or red or something. That's mostly used for kind of like the start signal. A lot of times you have a LED start. So then it could just sit there and flash white off kind of thing. The second command is follower random RGB. This has no arguments because it just uses a random color every cycle. So it just flashes all the different colors you have put in. So if you put in a lot of colors, then it'll have a lot of colors that it will go through. So it just kind of adds a little more stuff instead of seeing just same thing flashing. At least you get a little color going through it. But that's about it. That's like going through the whole thing. So, as some of you probably saw on the websites that I was out because I'm not feeling well. I'm still not feeling well, and after the nightmare of the Pack SDK, I'm just going to take a break. I think I just need a break after doing all this, and and also have pretty soon, probably in like 3 or 4 weeks, I'll probably start cancer treatments and all that. So I think it's probably just a good time to, just unwind from Hook of the Reaper and just take a break from it. So I'm planning no development or anything right now. So the sad thing, it might be a month, it might be like 6 months. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I think I just put in that. So I still have the roadmap. I think for the next one, I'll add in regular lights. That's for the next one. Then the 7 will add in background functions and where you can execute more than one command. But like I said, that's probably, I don't know when that's going to happen. But okay, thanks. Bye.